Hi everyone, this is Aruna, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, SNS College of Technology. In this lecture series, we're going to see about the transaction state and the necessary issues along with the schedule. So before watching this video, kindly watch my previous video that I have detailedly explained about the transaction concept along with the asset property with real world application. So according to transaction state, so here we are having a two type of thing. Either it is committed fully or partially committed. How that this particular thing can be moved from one state to another state, that can be represented by using a transaction state. This is nothing but one diagrammatic representation how the transaction must be taken place. See the first diagram, those I have represented over here. You're having a totally 5 state. So one is the active state, that is the current state, live session. So if it is partially committed, after partially committed, definitely you are having some interference. Through that interface, definitely it will be failed. After failing the thing, definitely it will be aborted to my original active page. Or I have go for a committed operation. So these are the two transaction state must be two type of an operation must be present in a transaction. Either it is partial committed or a committed. If it is a partial committed, it leads to the failure. If you are identifying if it is a failure, definitely it will be abort or a rollback to my active state. So see through my second diagram, I have detailedly explained about the how the transaction can be taken place. This is a begin transaction. In an active state, we're going to do the read and write operation. Intermediately, after completing the partial operation, my transaction will be ended. So why it will be ended means due to some any issues. It may be a hardware or a software issue. So definitely it will be aborted. It shows the failed state. It will be moved to the, it is unsuccessful or failed stage. Again, it will be moved to the again active state. So if it is fully completed, then only we can call it is a committed. After committing the thing, we have to close the transaction. If it is a failed also, we have to close the thing. So it is a terminated. So according to this particular transaction, we are having a 6 steps to complete a single transaction or a single piece of work. This only we can call it as a transaction state. The next thing is what do you mean by concurrent execution? Initially, I said that concurrent execution is nothing but the multiple, how the multiple transaction can be taken place at a same time. What is the definition over here is a multiple transaction are allowed to run concurrently in the system. So here it is, if you are going for an isolation and all, it is a multiple transaction can be taken place. So one transaction can unaware of the another transaction, but both the transaction can depend on the single data item or a single account. So this type only we can call it as a concurrent. Why nowadays we are moving for a concurrent execution is we have to do it a two thing. I have to increase my throughput or I have to maintain my throughput rate, and also I'm going to improve my response time or I'm going to increase my response time. Sorry, not increase, I'm going to reduce my execution time. If your throughput rate is increased, definitely your response time going to be reduced. So throughput is nothing but the number of transaction or a schedule can be taken place at a certain amount of data time. That only can call it as a throughput. Average response, that is the time taken to complete the schedule or a transaction. That only we can call it as a response time. That average, if you want to do a schedule, can contain the 10 transaction. What is a 10 transaction time? That can be called as an average response time. So for these two things only, we are going for a concurrent execution. So through that, it will increase the processor and also disk utilization is increased if you're going for a concurrent execution. Second one thing is we're going to reduce the average response time of a transaction or a schedule. So this concept only we can call it as a concurrent execution. The next one is a sequence. Sequence is nothing but certain order. And instruction, if you want to specify the certain chronological order in which the instruction of a concurrent transaction or can be executed, that when we call it as a schedule. So here we are having a two thing. If it is successfully committed, it will must execute the commit. It shows that compiler can notice that thing, the transaction is completed if they can encounter the commit command. If it is failed during intermediately only partially completed, definitely it will execute the abort and it will roll back to the original system. For example, in your real time, if you are transmitting an amount from one Paytm account to the or one Google Pay to another Google Pay, intermediately my server getting down. In this case, what happened? We are receiving the message like it is unsuccessful. We are saying if we are notified it is unsuccessful, what happened? Again, it will be aborted. Whatever the amount you are debited from that particular, again, it will be aborted, recredited to that particular account. So that for deciding this thing only, we are going for a schedule. It may be any order. We know that my transaction would not be executed. Transaction after T2 only to T1 can be executed. So this must be planned under a schedule. For example, real world, if you're going for any picnic, what you're doing, you're putting a schedule, no. So in this particular time, I'm going to visit this particular place. In this time here, there is a traffic. So we're going to visit this type of a place. Is it right? So this can be called it as a real-time schedule. So in that transaction in a database management also, how the transaction could be taken place, that is only depends upon the schedule. Schedule may be defined by an architecture or a owner of that particular program or owner of that particular application. That can be decided by a schedule. That particular person, we can call it as a schedule. So having so many different types of schedules or that we will see it in the next upcoming classes. Thank you for watching my video.